Good afternoon, Patriots. How is everyone doing today? It's time for another fun-filled episode of Quarantine with RP and M3. Guys, I could not be more excited right now. I'm literally bouncing. I'm shaking a little bit. We've just got some incredible new posts that hopefully are going to put some things in perspective for people who maybe have lost their way. Also, for all the Patriots who've been watching this with a careful eye, some of the most important posts in quite a long time. Oh, you guys, so many Patriots from across the globe. Thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you to my mods. You guys know I love you. It's happening, guys. It is happening. All right, guys. Please do sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and we'll be right back after a brief word from our sponsor. All right, guys. I don't know what's going on, why we're not getting any sound. Methods, can you speak so I can make sure your audio's working? And it's not. It's not working. Let's try something here. Okay, I know. I just had to update something. And for some reason, it's not working. Let's see. Okay. My methods, try it again. No, it's not working. You guys, hold tight. We'll be right back. I just got to figure something out.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, Patriots, we just got it working. Can you hear methods?
Mic check, 1, 2. Put an M3 out there if you guys can hear me.
M3 for methods, if you can hear him speaking, you guys. It looks to me like it is working. No big deal on the sponsorship ad. I'll take that hit because today is too big of a day. We've got 5x5s in the chat all day. You guys, wonderful news. Wonderful news. We were going to go over a primer of our favorite anon today. We were going to talk about what this means. Let's just briefly talk about it. I mean, at its heart, this is a movement to educate and inform the American people and teach us to do our own research. And the people who are helping us do that are a mixture of military and government insiders along with the president posting information anonymously on the boards. Now, what's very important here is that the information is coming either from the president directly or on the board directly. Anyone claiming to bring you information outside of the boards is not genuine. And I think we've got a couple of different posts talking about that today. Methods, do you have anything that you want to add as to what this is, our favorite anon and the movement?
I mean, that's pretty much on point. I mean, the idea of having enough proof show up on a random image board, you know, the timestamps with Trump tweets and stuff of that nature, different pictures and things like that from the White House. You know, basically it's to prove the point that we can, you know, trust the information or trust the messenger trying to give us the information to guide us in a certain way to dig on things. But most importantly to me is what it's created. It's this idea that everybody's digging everywhere because, you know, with Q starting on things, we started going all across the board, looking at every nook and cranny of the internet. We've got, you know, citizen journalists that weren't doing this before that now are. It's created this entire movement from that, which to me is the most important.
Yeah, absolutely. Just something to say, old dude in the chat just asked me to turn on captioning. That's not something I can do. It's a service provided by this platform. And once the videos are processed and they come out after they're live, then the captioning comes on. I wish that I could turn on captioning for people who are hard of hearing. We've got the audio levels pumped all the way up. Hopefully, if you're unable to hear it right now, then you can listen to it later today after the show has completely rendered. So now that we know what this little movement is, what it represents, who it is, I think it's perfect time to go over the brand new posts that we've just gotten today. Now, I'd also like to say thank you to the Mandalorian. He says, post number 3900, the name of the JPEG is 90. And then in drop 90, mirrored is 511, which equals justice, HRC for Seth Rich. Search for 90 and it brings up two drops, HRC, detainment. Is it happening? I think it very well may be. We're going to go over what that means in a moment with these posts. Also, Belliferous says, many of us have been at this for decades, and I feel like a young schoolboy again after these new drops. Absolutely. I do, too.
If you want to talk about schoolboy being excited and all that stuff, if y'all could have seen Red Pill before the show, I don't mean to call you out, bro, but I could watch you, and you were literally, we could have powered this stream in the bunker that we're in right now off of the energy that you had reading these posts. So, yeah, the energy is real, guys.
Yeah, somebody go ahead and screen cap that and then meme me with lightning coming down to my hands because I want to see that. All right, let's go ahead and talk about these new posts, you guys. Okay, so the first post that we have, and let's go ahead and go over to the right, and we'll throw on our little Zoom window so people can see us. Post number 3899. It's a video, and it's entitled "Panic is the Contagion" by Paine's Angels. Now, this right here is a tweet from our friend Dylan at Education for Libs, Educating Liberals, and it's an outstanding video from Paine's Angels that goes through what's kind of happening right now. This, mainstream panic that's being created, clearly with a couple of different things in mind. Obviously, they want to crash the economy. Obviously, they want to destroy President Trump's re-election campaign so that come November, he won't end up being elected. We've talked about this a couple times before. It stopped the rallies. It stopped people from doing outreach. It's given Biden the opportunity to take a back seat, not have to be out on the road, maybe get a little bit of rest and relaxation so that he doesn't keep doing crazy stuff when he's out and about. What else did you see when you watched this, Methods?
First off, Paine's Angels absolutely nailed it. If you guys aren't paying attention or subscribe to that YouTube channel, they're doing a fantastic job and just lays it out better than probably we could right now. I mean, walking us through what they're using our current situation with it being an election year with, Kung Flu stuff, all that, using it to their advantage, trying to keep control, trying to keep the laser pointer away from them and what they've been doing. Because if you notice, they don't utter the word impeachment anymore.
Yeah.
They act like, oh, yeah, that didn't happen for, 4 or 5 months of stuff going. Yeah, nothing to see here. All these things going on. And then on top of that, like the fighting against the Chinese talking point narrative that's been going on. They don't want us to be doing what we're exactly doing now and calling them out on all this stuff and paying attention to what crimes are being committed. And that's why having our favorite anon drop these posts today is so exciting to me and Red Pill, because it's on point.
Oh, perfect timing. We needed this right now. Ronnie says, please, some good news. Frustrated Vegas paramedic here. People have lost their minds out here. Life needs to go back to normal soon. I completely agree with you, Ronnie. Thank you for your service as a paramedic in the Vegas area. People need you right now. The thing about it is, it's up to us to help quell that fear, to help people understand that the panic is manufactured. They want us to panic. So by doing our research, by doing our due diligence, by paying attention to Occam's razor, as was pointed out just a couple of days ago, the simplest answer is more than likely the correct one. So you take a look at the actual statistics. I've been pointing them out on my channel for months now. People have more reason to fear the actual regular old flu that comes around every season than they do what we see in front of us today. This is manufactured, 100% manufactured, and in more ways than one. So let's go ahead and look at the next post. That's going to be post number 3900. Now, this one really got my juices flowing, you guys. Still to be determined the title. But it gives us an article here from 1863, President's Proclamation of the Habeas Corpus suspended throughout, let me go to, where's the article? Right here. Throughout United States in certain specific areas. So this is obviously an archived article, but it talks about what is habeas corpus, the fact that it was suspended for the reason, given in this article. But basically, the writ of habeas corpus is, I'm sorry, that's misprision of treason. It's a writ that a person may seek from a court to obtain immediate release from an unlawful confinement, as when the confinement has occurred through a means that violated the person's constitutional rights. So, habeas corpus is important because it can be suspended in certain unique instances during times of war. Notice that the other day President Trump said that he considered himself to be a wartime president, that we are in a state of war. It can be suspended for other reasons, such as the pandemic that we see right now. The DOJ just the other day was seeking the right to suspend habeas corpus as a result of the situation that we find ourselves in right now. I need to say thank you to Virginia Lee. Outside of 5G, with all the video conferences now being hosted, the government have more face recognition hits now. And then also EO2 Dave. I'm sorry, I need to make this a little bit smaller so I can see it. Does anybody know what the number on the bill was that they just passed? I actually don't. And then my buddy Brock says, made it and love the talk already. It's refreshing to hear the truth. Brock, glad you're here, brother. Yeah, Brock and I go way back, you guys. And he sent me an email this morning and let me know that due to the situation we find ourselves in, he's got more time. So it's really good to see you here in the chat, buddy. But yeah, methods, we just had the DOJ asking the other day for these incredible rules to be put in. And it's not that they want to take the rights away from the American people. They need these extraordinary powers so that they can fully and completely drain the swamp. Do you feel that's what's happening?
Right. I mean, even with everything going on just in general, with courts not being able to really meet because of what's going on and quarantine stuff, they still need to be able to carry on justice, even on just like the basic state level. But more and more, I know we talked yesterday about me being more conservative about how I see things going on. I mean, just with the Q post today and what he's pointing at, and the fact that they did ask to, suspend the habeas corpus stuff. Man, I got to tell you, to be able to use this time to drain the swamp, we'll just use those words, is fascinating to me, especially with what Q pointed to when it came to the favorite anon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're fine.
Chapter 15, the treason, sedition, and subversive activities. Our favorite anon's been pointing at that for a while. And if you think about it, they could, with that being suspended, the habeas corpus being suspended, they can detain, pick up all these people, and then look at the stuff that's in this chapter 15 and the misprision, or whatever you pronounce it, We had a fun little debate about that earlier. It's the deliberate concealment of one's knowledge of a treasonable act or a felony, which would obviously be the media. It would obviously be anybody push any representatives in government that, let's say that they're like, okay, my hands are not in the actual choices being made. Like Clapper saying, oh, well, we were just doing what Obama told us to do. Stuff like that. That would fall under this category. And so with the habeas corpus going away, they can be detained for these things. And then now the convenient, not convenient, but it is convenient situation as far as everybody's locked down. You all see the videos of the military equipment going around everywhere, National Guard being deployed. I don't want to leave everybody down the complete wrong path, but this definitely feels like the type of situation that checks all the boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. So due to this incredible situation we find ourselves in, with the courts being closed, normally a person could request that they be released until such a time when the courts could reconvene, and then they could go ahead and go to court. But now, with this pandemic taking place, with the courts being closed in many, many areas, this allows for the government to hold people until they can actually get the courts reopened to have them face justice. So I really, really think that this is a huge sign of what's happening. Now, Slipsters keeps talking about Mercy and Comfort. These are military hospital ships. They are closer to floating prison barges. They have the ability to treat people, but President Trump has already come out and said that these are not going to be used for people who are stricken with this international malady that we see people coming down with all over the place. So now all of these things they go through here. We got these are part of the U.S. code right here. So 2381 treason, 2382 misprision of treason, 2383 rebellion or insurrection, 2384 seditious conspiracy, 2385, advocating overthrow of government, 2386, registration of certain organizations, 2387, activities affecting armed forces generally, 2388, activities affecting armed forces during war, 2389, recruiting for service against the United States, and 2390, enlistment to serve against the United States. What do you guys think has been taking place? I mean, we've just witnessed what is essentially a coup to overthrow the duly elected president of the United States. And there are so many actors in that action which fall under these U.S. codes.
Right. I mean, if you look at every single thing that you just read off here, you can, in your head, picture a certain part of what we've seen out of these people and be like, all right, well, yep, this would be for that person or this situation. Certain organizations. What about all the NGOs that Soros is tied to? We've got a lot of different things that fit these boxes. And now, if you look back at everything that's happened in this movement up to now, the fact that we do have this current state of things happening, it makes a lot of sense, man. This just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, all the pieces falling into place. This is exactly what I needed today, you guys, and I'm hoping that this is what you needed as well. Tracy Barrett says, I think Trump is Q. JFK Jr.'s grave is surrounded by a Q. Yes, I totally know that. And I do think that President Trump is involved in this. I'd say that he's the plus. And then Brutus DM says, do you think Bill Gates will run for president? No, I think Bill Gates will run for cell block leader. I don't think Bill Gates is going to have the opportunity to run for president.
We think he'll run,
yeah,
but not for president.
Oh, and this is a perfect time to bring up my buddy Pkwy. Hold on, I gotta look at his whole name on Twitter. But everybody was asking about Bill Gates and what he was going to do. He had a new bunker. He has a super yacht that he's built, which he intends to travel with so that he can escape to the comfort of the sea. Let me see. Pkwy. I want to give him a proper shout out. Pkwy Deluxe 4. Pkwy Deluxe 4 on Twitter. Really good guy. His title says Pkwy Deluxe Digital Soldier in Flynn's Army. Good dude. Always sends me good information. So we've also got super chat from Will Did It. Please watch the video found using this search string. Is virus a man-made bio? W. Sean Atwood, Dr. Paul Cottrell. It is the second entry. Sean Atwood is actually going to be on my program here in just a couple weeks. So you guys keep that in mind. Sean Atwood is a great guy, puts out some really incredible content. Can't wait to have him here. Ashley Lynn says, trusting the plan, but if this turns out a way to enforce vaccination, I will be so disappointed. Ashley, I do not believe that it will. President Trump is not pushing that. Obviously, there are people in the administration, people on the task force who would like that to happen. But President Trump is giving us something completely different, viral medication, which can go ahead and take care of this. There's no reason to get yourself a forced vaccination. I don't believe that that's going to happen. So let's move on to the next post here. Post number 3901. We have a repost right here, which gives us the definition of a patriot and the definition of a traitor. So just, look at this and ask yourself who is what. So a patriot is a person who loves, supports, and defends his or her country and its interests with devotion, or a person who regards himself or herself as a defender, especially of individual rights against presumed interference by the federal government. And a traitor is a person who betrays another, a cause, or any trust, a person who commits treason by betraying his or her country. Once again, clearly, this is exactly what we see in this country today. It's incredible to just witness how far we've slid and how quickly and closely they got to actually destroying our nation. It was all about infiltration, not invasion, as the post 3903 tells us. But this is the big one right here, guys. Post 3902, important. No private comms, past, present, or future. No comms made outside this platform. I think that is really, really self-explanatory. Methods, do you see that any other way, or do you take that at face value?
Well, I appreciate that this was put out again today, because over the years, me and you've been in this, pretty much since the beginning, and a lot of people listening have as well. And there's been multiple times that I'll get tagged by, hey, did you see so-and-so saying this? And oh my, and that's the sauce of whatever they're pointing at. Mm-hmm. And I just don't even respond 99.9% of the time. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's just, why am I going to focus on something that I personally find suspect, or I'm doing something else I find more important than chasing a rabbit hole of somebody making claims and tweets or videos or whatever. So I can personally appreciate it, and I know you do too, that this post dropped today, because it has been rampant. I do expect for it to continue. The names come and go, but the agenda seems to be the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's typical. I mean, we've seen this since the very beginning, people attempting to infiltrate and subvert this movement to try and draw people off and take them in another direction. You give people a rabbit hole, they start going down it because they love to research, they want to find the truth, they know they've been lied to about so many different things for so long, and they're looking for somebody to give them an answer. And so people take advantage of that.
Right. And I mean, it's something that's going to happen in any situation. If there's a way to, profit or put things towards an agenda, sway, kind of steer the ship kind of thing, then yeah, I mean, people are going to do it. It's always going to happen in any situation. That happened in, I know I've talked about it before in my father's church. It happened, and that's a long story. If I haven't told it, save it for another day. But an infiltration happened in such a way by people that we trusted. And the next thing we know, they're taking it apart from the inside and ripped a lot of things that we've been working on apart or had been working on.
Yeah.
So seeing these things happen in this movement, it is tragic, but it's one of those things that I always want people to think for themselves. And so does, our favorite Anon, you, everybody. So it's kind of like that argument with myself. Do I go scorched earth and call everything out that I see that I disagree with, and then just argue on Twitter all day, or work on other things that people would prefer that I do?
Well, I mean, this is a common tactic that's been used by subversive elements of this government for many years. If you think back to the COINTELPRO program, they wanted to destroy the Black Panthers. They wanted to destroy the peace movement. So because they realized they couldn't just overtly destroy it, they decided to take them over. And by going in, and owning that movement, completely removing any leadership, anybody who was telling the truth or who was supporting the actual goals of those organizations. They were able to completely destroy them from within. And that's what we see happening here. And I'm just like you, Methods. I don't want to give my attention to things that would take us away from the task at hand, that would take us away from what's important. But, I don't expect this to end anytime soon. I'm pretty certain that elements that are trying to do this right now are going to double down on their efforts. And I hope that our favorite Anon continues to give us more overt information about this stuff. Need to say thank you to Jeff Hughes. He says, Bill Gates will be easier to drone on the high seas. You're right. The Mandalorian says, you see anything that's Scavino pick, or am I crazy? Which Scavino? Oh, yes. You sent me that Scavino pick last night. Scavino at the keyboard with a couple of memes, President Trump as Uncle Sam, and President Trump was standing there looking at Scavino. Did you see that picture, Methods?
No, actually I didn't. I was working on a bunch of stuff this morning, and turned off the computer early last night.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you.
Right.
Also, Chris Hawkins says, wow, this is great news. There will be a lot of people that will struggle deeply with this when it becomes much more public. We need to pray for them and help them to understand what's happened. Absolutely, Chris, 100%. And this is also another reason why I don't get into it with people on Twitter. Do you think that our favorite Anon has ever told us to go and attack someone else? Has he ever told us, or has the team ever told us to go and do anything other than research to make up our own minds? I think that's a clear indication of when you've got somebody who is interested in the power and trying to subvert the movement rather than the true goals of it, which is to ask us to have our own opinion and to do the research to be able to make an informed opinion rather than just following somebody blindly. I always say, don't trust me, okay? Trust but verify. You've got to go do the research for yourself. And, I'm not going to tell you what to believe. I'm going to tell you my opinion, and I hope that you guys are able to make up your own mind and to think for yourselves, especially in situations like this.
Right. I mean, that's what we've always wanted. We want to help. We want to point out things, make sure people know what's happening in real time, because when you see the narratives, the headlines, the spins real quick on stuff, you can get confused if you show up late to the game. And that's why, like I said yesterday, within 10 minutes of getting on the internet, I could find out everything I missed over the last 12 hours. It's because we needed this time to build these kind of networks and connections to where we can verify and try our best to use discernment and be there, for all that stuff. But, more importantly, being there for people like the person brought up, being there for people during these times as the stuff, comes out. They kept, talking about how Venezuela was okay. And, not a problem. We need to look more to that, like a lot of what the left was talking about. And then now look what happened this morning.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to be like, well, wait a second, I was told differently that things were on the up and up there, and that the Maduro wasn't that bad of a guy, and now here we are, and they're willing to put a bounty on his head. So
I want to talk about that in detail, but let me do these thank yous, and then we've got that one last post. El Conquistador has joined as a member. Thank you very much. Looney Tune says, I have my paper to travel. People across the country are getting them if you're essential from corporate. Suspecting martial law 4-1 to 410. It very well could take place. Kathleen Harms, thank you for that super chat. And Josh Hall says, need y'all help. I want to collab with Severe or Bryson. The best way to reach them is to go on Twitter and send them a message. They're both very responsive. And if you were to put out a public tweet and say, hey, I'd like to collab with you guys, maybe here's an example of my work, I'm sure they would go ahead and get in touch with you. Now,
right, they Severe and both of them, just reply to their tweets, say the same thing. And just, hey, tell them that Red Pill and Method said on the stream to, go reply, and we'll see if that works out.
Yeah. I'd like to just also ask everyone if you could be so kind as to hit that like button, also hit share. We've got 4,600 people here and only 1.1 thousand likes. I know that not everybody has a YouTube account, so you might not be able to like it, but for those of you that do, it would really help us break through the algo. All right, so one last post that has come up. Post number 3903, infiltration instead of invasion. Now, this could be taken a couple of different ways. Now, Methods, where was this quote originally taken from?
let me turn my mic on. JFK said it. He said it during the address before the American Newspaper Publishers Association in 1961. And I was looking at it to see exactly the section. Do you want me to read that paragraph?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, yeah, because it's on there and here. I'll drop the link here in the chat where I'm at, so you guys can save it for later. I'm sure everybody's heard it, but I mean, I'll drop it here a few times. But yeah, here's the quote, the paragraph I'm talking about. It requires a change in outlook, a change in tactics, a change in missions by the government, by the people, by every businessman or labor leader, and by every newspaper. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations.
So what he's talking about there is the tactics of the intelligence agencies. And at that time specifically, he was referring to the clowns in America. He had very recently said that he planned to smash that agency into a million pieces. And very soon after that, he paid with his life. And now today, the very element that we are working to unseat and to take our country back from are those exact same people, or perhaps the descendants of those who were the ones that removed our president from this earth at that time. Now, let's see. So, No Shades of Gray says DJT shut air travel down 131 to 11 days before event 201. Okay. Big Photo Mojo says, is April 1st through 10th going to be an internet dark time? I don't know for certain, but I mean, a lot of people have theorized that the 10 days of darkness is going to include something like that. But I mean, I can also see it going just, as a full lockdown, telling people not to leave their homes, to be dark in general. Cody Daigle says, hey, I DM'd you on Twitter a map of GPS signals being jammed for military training. That's very interesting, Cody. I'll see if I can pull that up. Thanks, buddy. Dale Bercier says, I greatly appreciate all the work you both do. Pick up some extra treats for the fur babies. I will do that. I'll get them some, not rawhides, pig ears. They love the pig ears. And then Jill Forthman, thank you very much for that chat as well. Yes, baby love, if it's the tweet that I think you're referring to, it's actually going to be in my video today. I'm going to talk about that later. But this infiltration instead of invasion, this is, again, also what I see happening in this movement. It's happened on a number of occasions. People have tried to come in, take over, so then they can go ahead and lead all of us, because we are, quite frankly, dangerous as a unit. We're dangerous to the deep state. We're dangerous to people who would be afraid of us thinking for ourselves. Jay Britt says, can't buy TP, so I might as well spend it on you guys. Hey, thanks, buddy. I can't buy TP either, but I'll save that, and hopefully soon I will be able to. Well, methods, let's talk about Maduro. Let's talk about Maduro, because that is a big, big story. What happened today?
Right. Okay. Yeah. The Justice Department, headed by Barr, did their press release about it today, and basically it was him, a bunch of military leaders down there were all being indicted, and the charges were across the board. If you can hunt real quick while I'm talking for the actual Justice.gov, but basically, the charges are looking at a minimum of 50 years, maximum life. And on top of that, they put a bounty out for Maduro and a few of the others as well. But the bounty was $15 million. And they also admitted in the presser that they had already been able to confiscate some money and some drugs and this stuff, because what they were finding out is this vast operation. And I think they said upward anywhere from 200 to 250 tons of cocaine operation. Yeah, right. Wow. And they had the maps shown. I suggest everybody go watch the video presser that they did, because it was very fascinating. But they were showing the routes of how they were going by boat, and they were also taking it up through, towards the U.S. And they kept talking about it getting into the U.S. and that was the problem with it. So they want everybody looking for Maduro. They said they still believe that he's down there in Venezuela. They believe that some of the other leaders are abroad right now, but they're trying to hunt him down and they want him charged. And even one of the people that called in to ask the question said, do you want him dead or alive? Is that how this works? I'm like, no, we want him in the U.S. courts. They don't want people hunting him down and, all that stuff, but they want him brought to justice here. But my biggest takeaway while I was listening about it was, if this operation was going on and is getting into, you can't just be smugglers going across the border just to make some money for, cartels or whatever. There had to have been some involvement agreement by past administrations or politicians, in my opinion, for this to get through, kickbacks, if you will, and all that.
And across
stuff.
Multiple governments of different countries.
Right. I mean, like the clip that I put out just a little bit before the show about how Trump back in September called Maduro Cuban's puppet.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm still doing some more digs on this. We might talk about it tomorrow. I might just do it, one of those rare methods threads that happens, showing how if Maduro is Cuba's puppet, then I was watching some fascinating videos of Cuba praising Obama. I mean, I did see the picture of Maduro hanging out and kicking it with Biden, all smiles. I know that there were sanctions on them during the Obama administration, but that could be optics, the same kind of thing with the Iran nuclear deal.
Yeah.
But it's just a fascinating thing to consider, that part of the world being in an operation that obviously our government would have known about and would have had to have worked with for it to be okay.
Right. Maria Fulton says indictments in both New York and Florida. Drug trafficking, terror, money laundering. I believe Diosdado is not in Venezuela. Bet Maduro will head to Cuba. I live in Venezuela. Now, you guys, it's interesting. They refer to Maduro as the former president of Venezuela, but he still holds power down there. I know that the opposition leader was recognized as the legitimate president of Venezuela. But I recently got some really disturbing information from down in Venezuela. They are on lockdown. And Maduro has what are essentially death squads out in the streets. And if they catch people breaking quarantine, they are quite literally gunning them down. Very, very unsettling. It's not the kind of thing that I like to look at. And I'm trying to determine how best should I release this information, because I don't want to traumatize you guys. But I think this is a really important story, and I'm really, really happy to hear that the DOJ has taken this action. This $15 million bounty is going to go a long way towards making sure that the international community has a vested interest in getting Maduro and bringing him to the United States for justice. Now, Looney Tune says, if you have a travel paper and we go into martial law, please offer to go to the store for those who cannot. Excellent, excellent idea. Please consider that, you guys. D's Nuts Be Dragon, thank you very much for the super chat. Butter for Flavor says, do you know what's behind the 21 million phones being turned off in China? Well, if I had to guess, I would say that there's 21 fewer owners of those phones, which is the reason why they're not being used. It seems to me that because of how important personal cellular phones are to daily life in China, if those phones just shut off, there's really no other likely explanation other than that they're just not there to use them anymore. When you look at everything that took place in China, it seemed to really, really hit them hard. There's 1.7 billion people. I saw an explanation that perhaps it could have been itinerant workers or traveling people using cell phones while they were working there temporarily. But that only represents a total of 5% of the population, which is something like 15 million. It would still leave 6 million unaccounted for. Methods, I got to let Muffin in, but tell the audience what you think might be going on.
Well, as far as the phone stuff, I mean, if they all went offline, I mean, to me, my first thought, the most positive thought about it would be that they were cut off, as a form of silencing communications, or because there's been videos of people trying to get, what's happening there over to us. I mean, I'm seeing the videos dropped on 8kun and stuff like that of them trying to tell us what's really going on over there. So as far as that, now, obviously it is a sad thought, but the idea that of what Red Pill said, there isn't people there to use those phones anymore.
Yeah.
Which is really, it's really, really tragic to think about. Hopefully they're going to be able to find their way, because that's really in this gauntlet is one of the top bosses that we're dealing with is China.
Yeah.
The regime running China, not everybody there, obviously. But
Exactly.
I do want to draw back to the point on Maduro, though, because during the research, what I was doing there, he had built up his own militia outside of the military that was calling the shots and stuff. And then, as I understand it from quick research, and it might be common knowledge, there was an uprising amongst the army to try to take over the regime. I think even before all the stuff happened with Guaido and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's him, Juan Guaido. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the army, basically, after they failed their coup attempt in I guess a positive coup, trying to take it away from a dictator, they then swore their allegiance to him. So he had his own militia as well as the army itself that were completely okay with these operations going on that they're doing with these drugs and other sinister things.
And, it's not too surprising to me either that that Maduro and his cronies would use, narco-capitalism when essentially the entire economy of the country had been shut down due to sanctions with, them being unable to export oil except to a couple of key countries. And obviously, there's a lot of drugs down in South America. Many different countries take advantage of the climate and they grow the coca plant. But very, very happy to see that things are starting to change. I mean, this is essentially a major part of the deep state's operation, the ability to grow, to produce, and to export these drugs, which they then use to enslave people in the Western world. People that are using drugs, people that are even using alcohol, find themselves unable to think at the same level that people do when they're sober. And I'm not saying that anybody who drinks has an alcohol problem, but I'm saying that people who are dependent upon it, it slows them down. And this is a great thing as far as I'm concerned.
Well, consider also another reason why these quarantines and National Guard stuff are good, and why it was also a smart move to go ahead and do what Barr has done in terms of cutting off drug trafficking. Because now it's going to be even more difficult for them to pull these things off, especially with a laser pointer on their leader. Imagine the gangs in the U.S., the turf war situations that happen. That these drugs are a currency. Right. I mean, that's how they make their money, how they control situations. Now, what if that dries up during all this stuff? It would make sense to have the National Guard on the streets for that alone, because you're going to get into turf wars, fights, withdrawals, people fighting over with each other over all these things. So it's a very interesting cause and effect of cutting off that supply chain and then not allowing. I mean, what happens when somebody who's so addicted to certain drugs, it just goes into immediate withdrawal? It's going to be chaos. They're going to be willing to do things that they might not have done before.
Yeah.
So to me, it makes a lot of sense for us to, need to be indoors during some of this stuff.
Absolutely. There's a million different ways that this could go, and it would present a fairly untenable situation. Now, someone suggested that I search for 1,000 pieces on the board, and if we go back to post 952, let me just move the box with methods and I. If we go back to post 952 here, Snowden subcontractor freed and Clowns in America broken into 1,000 pieces. At 19 first, at 3 first, the link, John Perry Barlow, 2, 3, 4, we have the sub, hostage release, 1,000 pieces. So talking about breaking the Clowns in America into 1,000 pieces, as JFK did, John Perry Barlow, the famous activist who was alluded to in a post in regards to having a heart attack and then died very shortly thereafter. And then also I like the reference to submarines yet again, because obviously that's come up on the boards quite a few times. Maui Gal says JFK break. Yeah, thank you. Did that. And then BHEC 1216 at 12:37 in chat. White Hat gave you some info. Oh, man, that was a while ago. White Hat, if you could repost it, buddy.
He probably put it
yes.
in Discord.
Yes, you guys, I said 1,000,000 pieces. It was 1,000 pieces. So thanks for thanks for telling me. And then Looney Tune says, this is why the deep state is now releasing prisoners' methods. Alan061 says, get White Hat on. White Hat is actually at work right now. I don't know if he would be able to jump on, but I'm pulling up Discord so that we can see what this is. Let's go ahead and do a refresh on the board here, and we'll see if we've got any new posts. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, post 3903 is the most recent. SR Moondog says infiltration instead of invasion is from John F. Kennedy's. We went over that, SR Moondog. Thank you, buddy. Let's see. I'm just trying to get Discord pulled up so I can see what White Hat sent. Let's see. Don't know what it's referring to. JFK doc. Yeah, we're doing the show. Let's see. So here's a tweet from my buddy Beer Parade. Infiltration instead of invasion. Yep, just a rehash of what we did. Angelic powers, Trump versus the world. That's right. This is Trump versus the deep state, and they are a global entity. So here, something else I wanted to go over today, guys. There was rather, an earthquake in Texas earlier, in El Paso, Texas, a 5.0 magnitude earthquake that took place in Texas. Anybody in the chat here from Texas? I had somebody contact me and said that they don't get earthquakes in this area. I don't know that I've ever heard of an earthquake happening down there, and apparently there is a military base not far from where the epicenter of this was. So very, very interesting to see. I'm looking to see if White had dropped anything here in the chat. But I don't think I see anything. Methods, have you ever heard of any earthquakes taking place down in Texas?
No, I mean, that's not my area, but I mean, to me, it would make sense that would be rare.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, it's interesting. I wonder, I didn't see the picture of the epicenter where it happened, but if it were to be closer to the border, I would have more of the, conspiratorial thoughts about it. Stuff going on underground, because we do know when we're talking about dealing with trafficking, cartel stuff and all these things happening with Maduro, it would be kind of curious to see if that was really close to the border. But like I said, I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So I just want to say something to W. Rain. W. Rain, who has been a loyal viewer, been with us here on the program from the very beginning, said that she's very nervous about this suspension of habeas corpus, very nervous about the potential for, military actions here in the United States. And all I say is take a look at everything that we have been planning for, everything that we've been working for. The people that we're looking to unseat from the center of power, the deep state, those people are going to have contingency upon contingency, and they essentially have private armies at their disposal. It just makes sense that it would be necessary for the patriots in the United States government to respond with equal and appropriate force in a situation such as that. What's happening is not to take away our rights. It is to secure the future of our rights and the history of this country moving forward. We are taking our country back from people who have held us hostage for centuries now. It's absolutely necessary, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts on it are, Methods.
Right. I mean, I understand how those things being in place can be used against us, and I absolutely believe that a part of the 16-year plan, Hillary being president type stuff.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, it trailed off. I wasn't quite sure what happened. Just in case says, my wife called me. She said NBC is reporting that doctors are considering a universal do not resuscitate for all patients with CV, and that scared the crap out of her. I saw something similar to that earlier today, and again, I think that this is just more fear-prone. They are trying to scare you. They are trying to make you think that this is something that is much, much worse than it actually is. Again, you guys, we have the medicine that treats it. There have been case after case of people who had this sickness. They were given this medicine and they came out very, very good. On the other side, they are perfectly fine. If you're afraid, if you're thinking that you're absolutely in danger and that, this is going to be some black swan event, then they're going to get what they want. They will have won. Do not succumb to fear, you guys. Do not succumb to the propaganda that they are pushing down us. Don't watch NBC, for number one. Absolutely not. Red Pills, Rain says, I totally want to believe that, and I hope it's true, but they have so much info to arrest at least one HVT and nothing. I don't want them to turn this on us, but thank you for addressing me. All I can say is that this is going to happen on the timeline that it must happen. It's going to happen on the perfect order and time that has been ordained by God and that is necessary for Trump and the Patriots to do it. It will not be before. I know that everybody is very anxious. People want to see this. They want this to happen. No one wants it to happen more than I do. I have been invested in this deeply for years, and I'm not just talking about the Great Awakening. I am talking for basically my entire life. I knew that this was coming. Something like this was going to happen. Either that or we would lose all of our freedoms. And like I said before, I thought we had it one time. I thought that this was it, that it was over, that we had already lost. And now that President Trump and the Patriots are here and these fine men and women in uniform are ready to deliver us, there's absolutely no going back. And I know that this is really happening.
Right. And I mean, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as that goes about having these powers used against us, patriots or, forcing vaccines and all that stuff. Me and Red Pill fully support, free will choices, to do all these things. We also support the Second Amendment, if the government wants to overstep. And if there comes a time where me and Red Pill, and we'll go ahead and make this, promise to you now, if there comes a time that me and Red Pill think we've all been completely duped and screwed over and hell is coming on earth for all of us, we'll come on air and tell you.
Absolutely.
It's just, we don't just put on this act or whatever to make sure people tune in and hang out or, likes, clicks, whatever. We genuinely feel this way.
Yeah.
But you're right to feel how you feel about it and have doubts and have all those things. It's going to happen. And sometimes we might suggest, taking a break real quick, put the phone down, do something else, do something around the house, hang out with your family. Great time for it, like how Red Pill talked about it yesterday. But as far as this goes now, we feel confident and we're still staying alert and paying attention. And that's why we're trying to do this show during the week for now, to give you that opportunity to hang out with like-minded people, or at least let you see somebody else's point of view that might help you break out of that worry, that concern and all that. Because we just want the best for everybody. And we also just want you to have a great day every day, the best that you can.
Yeah.
So that's why we feel the way that we do. But we will be very upfront and honest with you if there were to ever be that kind of circumstance where me and Red Pill are like, oh, no.
Yeah. If we think we've led you astray, guys, we're going to be honest about it. I mean, Methods is right. This is not about clicks. This is not about views. We are telling you from our hearts, from the bottom of our hearts, exactly how we feel. I truly believe everything that I'm saying. What I say to you right now is the same thing that I say off air. I'm not going to lead you astray. I'm not going to try to trick you. I do believe that this is really the truth of what's happening right now. And I am serious when I say have no fear, faith over fear. That's what they want. They want you to be afraid. They want you to be too afraid to even go about your daily business because they will win if that's what happens. I mean, President Trump and the Patriots, they need us to stay inside for whatever reason. If there's going to be some actions out on the streets, then better that we're inside than we're outside where we can get in the middle of it and they could be confused about who we are and what our intentions are.
Real quick before you jump, Lucky Bean nailed it, and we should have let off with it. Trust God.
Yeah,
absolutely trust God. That's where we ultimately, if at any point I get a little, not just worried, but discouraged or wore out a little bit from seeing all this stuff, I mean, that's where I pull any energy I need if I'm still working on something. It's like, all right, God's in control of this.
Yeah,
I need to work a little bit harder and get through it.
Yeah, 100%. Let's see, Metal Makes Me Crazy says, if you go to george.news via PC, you can see a drop number 3465 as the background. Any thoughts? Thanks to you both for your work. George.news, as far as I can tell, they are, I don't know who owns them. I don't know who's publishing them now, but I think they see what's happening in this movement and they're supporting it. I don't know if it's any deeper than that. Maui Gal says, earthquake equals dumbs being taken out, explained by Blessed to Teach. I've had a lot of people telling me that, and it's definitely a theory that I can see being true. John Doe says, Flynn's picture, calm before the storm. Yeah, you could definitely perceive it that way. Brett says, very curious about our rights in light of these executive orders preventing so many from working. Do governors really have this ability? Yes, and it's actually primarily up to the states to create the response to something such as this. So yes, we do have the separation of powers. The states have a certain degree of sovereignty, and the governors have a certain degree of power. Son of a Green Card says, comfy, share with M3 for more TP forts. Yes, definitely. Nikki, thank you very much for that super chat. Claudia McLaughlin, thank you as well. Gino says, POTUS spoke of restoring power back to the people in his inauguration. Restoring power requires justice to be served. It is amazing that we, the people, are seeing this in real time. Hammer of justice. Couldn't have said it any better myself. You know, President Trump, this has been his goal from the very beginning. You know, that speech, the speech that will get Donald Trump elected. You know, our movement is about a failed and corrupt system. He is working to remove that system and put in place true justice and the rights and freedoms that we, as citizens of the United States, are owed by the Constitution. The same rights and freedoms that have been stripped away from us slowly over the last several hundred years. Plant Girl for Life says, hello from Nebraska. Fear equals false evidence appearing real. Trust God, trust POTUS, trust the plan, and don't watch fake news. 100%.
Nailed it.
Yeah, EO2 Dave says, takedowns on Good Friday would be a nice birthday present for POTUS. I think they absolutely will. And I see it, you know, I mean, I see it happening and I know that it's coming. You guys watch my video at 6 o'clock because I've got some more stunning information in there that I think might give you even just a little bit more hope than we've been trying to impart right now. Well, Methods, is there anything else going on in the news that we should be going over, man? We got 4 minutes to 3 o'clock, and then I'm off until 6.
Not off the top of my head. I mean, last thing I saw was stock market was up 1,000 points. It might be down now because it's not on my screen anymore.
Yeah.
But no, you know, stock market's starting to see it a little bit. Yeah, it's right under 1,000. It just came back up. No, but I mean, as far as that, I mean, not off the top of my head, I've been focusing a lot on this Maduro stuff and what's kind of how like that works with the different countries and what was going on during previous administrations. But besides that, we will be back at it tomorrow, obviously, you know, and then Saturday, and I'll tweet out the time, I will be with Craig Mason on his channel to kick it with him. At some time in the morning or around lunchtime. And then Sunday, like we said yesterday, we'll have Sean from SGT report for Comfy Sunday, which is, you know, we've had Comfy. I mean, we're lit 6 days a week now, man. We're doing this, so it's a lot of fun. It feels the same way, and I enjoy it. I'm glad that we're taking this time to do this with everybody.
Very comfy, very comfy. My mom says POTUS birthday not on 410. It's on June. That's right. 41020 is just the initials for the numbers for his initials. Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that. Andrew D. Blandford says, I red-pilled my parents by turning them on to you guys. They now look forward to a new video every day. Do you suppose the stay-at-home orders are to safeguard the children from the desperate blood-seeking vampires? I think it's definitely to safeguard the children and the people. I think that the more people that stay at home, the fewer bad things can happen to you if you're not going outside. And if this is about safeguarding the American public, there are so many different implications to these stay-at-home orders. Shannon Rose Smith says, this whole deal makes me think there are a lot more great actors than we thought. There are many, many great actors which are taking part in this, and I think that everything that we're seeing is not necessarily as it appears. So, you know, definitely keep that in mind when you are watching people on the global stage. President Trump has a real way of using people who appear to have not the best interests at heart for the American people. He will use them, he will chew them up, he will spit them out, and I think that it's not only about getting what he wants, but it's about keeping the deep state at arm's length because they think that he's being controlled when clearly he's the one who's in control. Also, Fawn Fargo says it will be biblical, 4:10 Good Friday and 4:12 Easter. I agree. I think that this is going to be a really, really good year, guys. It's going to be a wonderful Easter. I think that we're going to have many different reasons to celebrate. And I'm going to be very, very excited to continue hanging out with you guys here as long as we need to. Inga Hicks says, fear is a Machiavellian tactic commonly used by the mainstream media in concert with deep state operatives to get you to bend the knee. And love you from New York. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It is absolutely a tactic used by the deep state. Randolph Shower says, we're all glad you take the time to. Thank you very much, Randall. I appreciate it. All right, you guys. Well, we are approaching the top of the hour. I could not be more excited. These were some amazing posts that were dropped today. And I'm looking forward to seeing what else comes out later on today. Make sure that you tune in tonight at 6 p.m. for my daily news roundup. We're going to be talking about a whole host of other things. We are taking our country back, and it's all thanks to Trump and the Patriots. And, of course, our favorite, Anon. As always, guys, thank you very much for joining us. Methods.
Yep. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. We'll be back at it again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. And yeah, thanks for hanging out.
All right, you guys, join us again tonight at 6 and then again tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for Quarantine. Have a great day.